The implications of this are frankly nothing short of historic. Over 100 documents that we released on Friday really detail and provide evidence of how this treasonous conspiracy was directed by President Obama just weeks before he was due to leave office, after President Trump had already gotten elected. This is not a Democrat or Republican issue. This is an issue that is so serious it should concern.
Barack Obama built a legacy on speeches polished to a mirror shine, every word gliding like glass. But Tulsi Gabbard takes that glass and smashes it into shards. She strips away the halo, exposing the contradictions, hypocrisies, and hollow promises that propped up his presidency. What was once sold as a sweeping transformation now looks, in hindsight, like an elegant sales pitch with no product inside. Tulsi doesn't pull punches, no soft jabs, no polite nods, just a relentless demolition of the myth that Obama was anything more than a gifted politician selling hope on credit, leaving the bill for everyone else to pay.
Director Gabbard, give me your response to what we heard from former President Obama there. He's saying that none of this makes any sense, that this is a distraction. What do you say to that?
It's the art of deflection coming from former President Obama, as well as his friends who are still in Congress today, and Senator Warner and Congressman Jim Himes, really all basically saying that exact same.
Tulsi Gabbard doesn't merely criticize Barack Obama. She carves him up like a master surgeon wielding a sledgehammer. This isn't polite disagreement, it's a full-scale unmasking. Obama, the man who once glided on charisma and carefully measured half-smiles, suddenly looks like a stage magician caught mid-trick. Mirrors shattered, wires exposed, rabbits refusing to leave the hat. Tulsi doesn't play softball or hide behind cautious phrasing. She eviscerates every hollow slogan, every shiny contradiction, every carefully choreographed legacy move that turned out to be nothing more than slick branding with a presidential seal stamped on the box.
Because it has to do with the integrity of our democratic republic. What we saw occur here, as the documents we released detailed, was that we had a sitting President of the United States and his cabinet and leadership team, quite frankly, who were not happy with the fact that President Trump had won the election, that the American people had chosen Donald J. Trump to be the next President Commander-in-Chief of the United States. And so they decided that they would do everything possible to try to undermine his ability to do what voters tasked President.
The myth of Obama as a smooth-talking savior collapses under Tulsi Gabbard's relentless dismantling. She tears apart the carefully packaged illusion of hope and change, revealing that beneath the glossy speeches stood a politician no different from the rest. Except perhaps more gifted at convincing Americans he was somehow floating above the swamp while swimming laps through its murkiest waters. Obama's greatest gift was never true leadership, it was pure salesmanship. Tulsi makes that painfully obvious, torching him as the ultimate political marketer, a man whose product expired long before anyone dared admit it, yet kept on selling the same shiny bottle of nothing.
That was an inconvenient truth. The President's Daily Brief article was pulled. It has never been published until we released it about a week and a half ago. Instead, this new intelligence assessment was ordered by President Obama that contradicted directly every other intelligence assessment that had been published prior to the election, as well as assessments that had been pushed forward after the election.
Again, Tulsi Gabbard targets Obama's foreign policy blunders with sniper-level precision. The endless wars, the drone strikes, the Nobel Peace Prize that aged like milk left out in the sun, all of it gets dragged, unflinchingly, into the harsh spotlight. Obama, who once marketed himself as the antidote to George W. Bush, ended up authoring chapters of foreign policy that made Bush's missteps look like amateur rehearsals. Tulsi refuses to let him wriggle free behind excuses about inherited messes. She drives home that he didn't just inherit, he expanded, escalated, and then grinned his way through press conferences as if charisma could whitewash civilian casualties or rebrand bloodshed as diplomacy.
going on.
That's a very disrespectful attack on the American people who deserve the truth. They deserve to have faith and trust in the integrity of our democratic republic, which has been undermined by President Obama through his direction of this manufactured fake intelligence document, knowing that it was filled with lies.
Like when she got into office, you realize like you're not really in control of everything because there's another person who's in control of each individual.
Then there's Obama's domestic record. A masterclass in political branding without an ounce of real backbone. Obamacare, once hailed as a revolutionary leap in healthcare, exposed itself as a hollow compromise, padding insurance company profits far more than it protected patients. Tulsi tears into him for it, highlighting how his so-called bold reform left millions trapped in a broken, overpriced system. Hope and change. More like hold and charge. Hold your breath and charge your premiums while the lobbyists toast their victory.
You believe that any of this new information implicates former President Obama in criminal behavior?
We have referred and will continue to refer all of these documents to the Department of Justice and the FBI to investigate the criminal implications of this.
For even former President Obama?
Correct. The evidence that we have found and that we have released directly point to President Obama leading the manufacturing of this.
And let's not forget the economy. Obama's defenders love to claim he saved America from collapse, but Tulsi rips that fairy tale to shreds. Who really got saved? Wall Street, big banks, and corporate giants. The very gamblers who wrecked the system in 2008 walked off with bailouts and bonuses, while everyday Americans got scolded about personal responsibility. Obama wasn't the champion of the people. He was the insurance policy of the elites. Tulsi lays it out like a crime scene report. The working class didn't get rescued, they got handed the bill. A president who preached transparency while spying on journalists, who promised equality while cozying up to Silicon Valley oligarchs, who vowed to end division yet left the nation angrier, poorer, and more polarized than before. That's the real legacy.
Doesn't actually address the issue that was revealed in great detail in the over 100 documents that we released last week and the documents that we will be releasing later this week that point to the undeniable fact. The intelligence community had one assessment, that Russia did not have the intent or capability to try to impact the outcome of the U.S. election leading up to Election Day. The same assessment was made after Donald Trump was elected by the American people as president in 2016, defeating Hillary Clinton, and it wasn't until after that pulled President's Daily Brief document that the Principals Committee was called in the National Security Council, and President Obama then directed Obama's DNI James Clapper to lead the effort to create this new intelligence community assessment that detailed not if, but how Moscow attempted to influence the outcome of the U.S.
The real destruction comes in Tulsi's calm dissection of Obama's hypocrisy. He was the president who campaigned against endless wars while dropping bombs in 7 countries. The president who promised unity yet quietly stoked division whenever it served his politics. The president who claimed to fight for the middle class while ensuring the donor class never lost its seat at the table. Tulsi turns the mirror toward him, and the reflection isn't the golden image of hope. It's a grim reminder of how easily America bought into a polished salesman. She even torches the Obama post-presidency glow-up, the high-priced speeches, the Netflix deals, the carefully choreographed image of a wise elder statesman. Tulsi burns that illusion to ash. Obama didn't fade into the background as a dignified ex-president. He built a brand empire, monetizing the very office that was supposed to be about public service. It's hard to preach selflessness while pocketing 6-figure corporate checks, but that's Obama's retirement plan. And Tulsi leaves no oxygen for pretending otherwise.
The timeline is absolutely remarkable, and then this article from the New York Times, the day that President Obama decided that this would be the narrative, they even run it with a photo of him. It's shameless. December 9th, stating that their sources are from the administration, and it's already the pre-baked narrative that Russia helped Trump, even though the intelligence community hadn't done their assessment yet.
That's right. Again, very
How's that possible, Director?
They got the message about what the narrative was supposed to be. They then reached out to their friends in the mainstream media to start to plant those seeds so that when this assessment came out, it would not be seen as something shocking or as contradictory.
The reaction to Tulsi's roast is electric. Supporters cheer her for finally saying what so many have whispered for years. Obama's legacy was a triumph of PR over policy. Critics clutch their pearls, horrified that anyone would dare tarnish the golden boy of modern liberalism. Yet even they can't fully deny the sting of her points, because deep down, they know she's right. Obama's presidency left a trail of lofty promises on the cutting room floor, replaced by safe decisions designed to please donors while disappointing voters. Tulsi hammers home the irony of his carefully maintained image as a man above partisanship. In truth, he left his own party in ruins. Under his watch, Democrats hemorrhaged over 1,000 seats nationwide. State legislatures flipped, governorships slipped, and Congress swung hard in the opposite direction. For all his talk of inspiring a movement, Obama left a political crater where his party once stood. Tulsi seizes this fact with both hands, showing that the so-called transformational leader actually presided over one of the greatest collapses of political infrastructure in modern history. That isn't hope and change, it's hope evaporated and change reversed.
Like, I've had candid conversations with Tulsi Gabbard about what it was like.
It's a disservice to the American people that former President Obama's office and others who are criticizing the transparency that is being delivered by releasing these documents. They are doing a disservice to the American people and trying to deflect away from their culpability in what is a historic scandal.
She's a person, tries to be friends with everybody, tries to reach across the aisle. She's got that whole aloha spirit.
The answer to that statement can very clearly be found throughout all of the documents that we have released, showing that Russia took action to try to sow discord in the election, but showed no preference for or against any singular.
She doesn't stop there. Tulsi tears into Obama's arrogance, that smugness dripping from every condescending lecture, every passive-aggressive jab at anyone who dared challenge him. He wasn't just a president. He styled himself as a preacher, scolding the nation like some enlightened guru while failing to live up to his own lofty sermons. Tulsi flips the entire script, showing that Obama's legacy isn't one of inspiration, but of relentless self-promotion. His defenders still cling to him as the symbol of competence, forever contrasting him against Trump. But Tulsi demolishes that narrative, laying out how Obama himself paved the road to Trump's White House. His broken promises, his aloof detachment, his refusal to link policy to real people, those failures opened the door. If Obama had truly delivered the transformation he advertised, Trump's rise might never have happened. Tulsi makes it brutally clear, Obama didn't stop Trumpism, he incubated it, nurtured it, and passed it along wrapped in a glossy bow.
Get on that. The president yesterday, you've inferred that the former president helped lead a coup. Based on what you now see, do you believe President Obama is guilty of treason?
I'm leaving the criminal charges to the Department of Justice. I'm not an attorney, but as I've said previously, when you look at the intent behind creating a fake manufactured intelligence document that directly contradicts multiple assessments that were created by the intelligence community, the expressed intent and what followed afterward can only be described as a years-long.
That's the brilliance of Tulsi's takedown. It's not just personal, it's profoundly historical. Obama isn't dismantled with petty insults. He's undone by the cold, undeniable record of what he did and what he failed to do. Tulsi drags out the receipts, piles them high, and lights the match in front of everyone. By the time she's finished, the myth of Obama as a once-in-a-generation leader is reduced to cinders, replaced with the reality of a smooth-talking politician who left America weaker, angrier, and far more divided than he found it. The aftermath of Tulsi's demolition is striking. Obama loyalists scramble to defend him, recycling the same stale talking points about inherited crises and obstructionist Republicans, but those excuses sound hollow against Tulsi's relentless breakdown. He isn't untouchable. He isn't saintly. He certainly isn't above criticism. He's simply another politician who sold the country dreams and delivered disappointment. And thanks to Tulsi Gabbard's methodical assault, the carefully polished mask is gone, and it's not coming back.
This is an issue that is important to every single one of us as Americans. This is not a partisan issue. It has to do with the integrity and the strength of our democratic republic. And it lays out this over 100 documents that you're referencing that I've released, declassified and released, spells out in great detail exactly what happens when you have some of the most powerful people in our country directly leading at the helm, President Obama and his senior-most national security cabinet, James Comey, John Brennan, James Clapper, and Susan Rice and others, essentially making a very intentional decision to create this manufactured, politicized piece of intelligence with the objective of subverting the will.
By the end, Obama isn't just mocked, he's dismantled piece by piece. The speeches, the smiles, the image, the carefully curated legacy, all lie in ruins. Tulsi doesn't simply roast him. She exposes him as the emperor with no clothes, the politician without substance, the brand without an authentic product. 4 years, people tiptoed around this truth, terrified of shattering the golden image. But Tulsi swings the hammer, and the glass finally shatters. Obama's defenders will desperately try to rebuild the myth, but it won't hold. Once you see the hollow core, you can't unsee it. Tulsi makes sure the whole country sees it. That's why her destruction of Obama isn't merely a roast, it's a reckoning. His meticulously crafted legacy doesn't survive her firestorm. It collapses completely, leaving only raw, uncomfortable truth. Barack Obama was never the transformative leader he claimed to be. He was just another politician dressed in hope, packaged as change, and sold like a premium product. And when Tulsi finishes, that truth is undeniable. Obama's loyalists can brag about how he looked presidential, but posture and wardrobe never rescued a collapsing middle class.
We're referring all of our documents to the Department of Justice for the purpose of accountability and action. No one, no matter who they are, no matter how high up they are or how powerful they may be, no matter who the intelligence officials or professionals were who were a part of this treasonous conspiracy.
Tulsi drills into America's obsession with image, pointing out that Obama's presidency was politics as performance art. He delivered lines with the timing of a Broadway actor, but when the curtain closed, the problems on stage didn't disappear, they multiplied. Being calm on camera doesn't erase foreclosures, stagnant wages, or towns hollowed out by policies that favored Wall Street over working families. Tulsi highlights that contrast, reminding everyone that Obama's cool demeanor was simply camouflage for cold decisions. Then comes the Silicon Valley love affair. Obama was the darling of the tech elite, the president who welcomed CEOs like visiting royalty, grinning for photo ops, while they laid the groundwork for the monopolies now dominating every inch of American life. Tulsi skewers him for cozying up to billionaires, while millions of workers lived paycheck to paycheck. He wasn't fighting the system, he was lubricating it, making sure the gears kept grinding ordinary people down while pretending the future was shiny and innovative. In hindsight, those much-hyped innovation summits look less like progress and more like private board meetings for the men who would soon own the digital world.
2016 delivered a historic victory to President Trump, defeating Hillary Clinton, and President Obama and his team, their goal was to essentially not accept the decision of the American people and to use this manufactured, politicized intelligence as a means to enact what would become essentially a years-long.
Tulsi also targets Obama's trademark deflection strategy, blaming obstruction for everything that went wrong. Sure, Republicans fought him tooth and nail, but Tulsi points out that the real story is what he chose to prioritize when he actually had power. Instead of structural reform, he served up half measures. Instead of confronting corruption, he handed out golden parachutes. Instead of bold leadership, he hid behind carefully crafted excuses. The obstruction wasn't the whole problem. The missing ingredient was courage. And the irony, Tulsi reminds everyone, is brutal. Obama sold himself as the anti-establishment figure who would challenge the system. Instead, he became its most charming salesman. His presidency wasn't 8 years of transformation. It was 8 years of telling people exactly what they wanted to hear while ensuring the machine kept humming. The wars dragged on. The bankers flourished. The rich grew richer. and the poor got polished platitudes. That's the legacy Tulsi dismantles piece by piece, leaving no illusion intact. Once exposed, it's impossible to see Obama as anything but what he always was, a politician in a well-tailored disguise.